Hi, and welcome to the Becoming Trauma-Informed podcast, where we help you understand how your past painful experiences are affecting your current reality and how you can shift those so you can create your desired future. I'm Dr. Lee, and both myself and our team at the Institute for Trauma and Psychological Safety are excited to support you on your journey. We talk about all the things on this podcast. No topic gets left uncovered. So, extending a content warning to you before we get started. If you notice yourself getting activated while listening, invitation to take care of yourself and to pause, skip ahead a bit, or just check out another episode. Let's dive in. Hey y'all, what's up? Welcome to this week's episode. You might have noticed this one's a little bit shorter, and I think I said this earlier in the season, I am trying to do some shorter ones in here so you guys can get quick bursts of inspiration and just help around regulating, around trauma, around all the things. And this last week, we did a transformation event at the Institute in preparation for opening up our trauma-informed, psychologically safe certificate program that we run every January. It's a 9-month program, and it is something that I created in response to really not seeing anything out there in the world that was created to teach humans who don't necessarily have medical background or psychology background or a trauma background at all, how to be more trauma informed, how to create more safe, supportive spaces for themselves and for others, how to have mutually beneficial relationships, how to understand what trauma is, how it shows up in our lives and in the lives of others, and what to do about it. And so this certificate program, we finished our first round in October. It's been phenomenal. So I created an empowerment experience, a 5-day empowerment experience that we ran on Facebook. And one of the things that I talked about in that training was this idea of choosing our pain. And I think that this is kind of like when you just hear that saying, choose your pain, like without any context, you're like, oh, that's kind of weird for a trauma institute to be saying, choose your pain. And in that training, we went into the neurobiology of how our nervous systems work. And what a lot of people don't know is that our brains, our nervous systems are designed to do two specific things. They're designed to help us avoid pain, and they are designed to help us seek out pleasure. And even though those are two of the most primary functions, the avoidance of pain is prioritized in most situations, almost all situations, by our nervous systems, unless we are consciously deciding something else. And about 90% of our behavior is habitual. It's not conscious. We just do it based on what we've learned in the past. And so a lot of us have patterns that we don't realize developed throughout our lives as a way of avoiding uncertain pain. As humans, if we know that a certain pain state is really uncomfortable and that it's not going to kill us, we are more likely to pick that pain state and stay in that pain state than we are to change our behavior, change our habits, choose something different, and risk an uncertain pain that may harm or kill us. So our brain, when we are just kind of letting it do its own thing and we're not consciously thinking about the choices that we're making, our brain is going to choose certain pain. It's going to choose the pain that you're in right now. It's going to choose the pain that feels safe. And it's going to choose that over even potential pleasure. Unless you know that something's going to be pleasurable and it feels safe, it doesn't feel like it's going to cause you pain that could really hurt or harm you, or you're not sure about it, you're not going to make that choice. And so a lot of people are out there in the world trying to make decisions and trying to motivate themselves, trying to change their habits, especially as we get to the end of the year and we start hearing some of the traditional sales and capitalistic messaging around new year, new you, and it's time to change and it's time to shift. What is missing from that conversation is a trauma-aware, a trauma-informed approach, which is that we so many times are not choosing our pain consciously. What we're doing is we're saying, oh my gosh, I want to change consciously. Like, it makes so much sense. I'd like to get healthier. I'd like to be in a relationship that feels more stable and more secure. I'd like to get a new job. I'd like to start a business. I'd like to do X, Y, and Z. And then a month or two go by after us setting all of these goals and we haven't made much movement, or maybe we started and stopped and we don't know why. And we don't understand why we keep, all the sayings, falling off the wagon or steering off the path, going off path, getting off track, right? We have so many sayings for this. The reason why is because your unconscious brain, your nervous system is going, hey, this thing that you're choosing, there's uncertain pain here. And you have not created safety and security inside of us, inside of our nervous system, for us to feel safe going after this thing. We have no evidence. We haven't done the conscious work of figuring out how to choose this new pain. So our subconscious, our nervous system is going, no, let's just stay here in this pain. Yeah. I know we want to change. I know we want new things. I know we have all these dreams and desires, and that feels unsafe. So we talked about in this empowerment experience that we get to consciously choose our pain. And I think that this is actually one of the most compassionate and attuned behaviors that we can participate in. Because most of us like to pretend we're not in pain. Most of us are trying to get out of the pain that we're in currently, using tactics and techniques that really don't work and actually cause us more pain in the future, but right now they feel better. So we're in between this weird rock and hard place of, okay, I'm really uncomfortable where I'm at and I'd like to change, and also that other change seems uncertain, so let's stay here. If we're not consciously acknowledging, okay, part of being a human is being in pain. Pain is a really powerful motivator. It's one of the most powerful motivators I can use. And I don't want to use pain as a motivator in a gross or a scarcity manner. I want to consciously choose. I want to step into my power, step into my agency, step into command of my life and say, okay, I want to decide. I want to shift. I want to choose what pain I'm willing to take on. This is an exercise I do with my clients a lot when we're looking at their conscious, like what they know to be their truths and what maybe their past painful experiences or their trauma have brought into their life subconsciously that have affected how their habits are set up. We will play a game called Worst Case Scenario. So they'll say, okay, I would really, really like to, I'm just going to use the example of, I'd really like to make $10 million next year, right? Okay, and let's say that that's feasible for them. Maybe they have a $6 million business right now. Okay, I want to make $10 million next year. So the game that we'll play is, okay, why don't you want to make $10 million? The reasons I don't want to make $10 million are, and when we go through those reasons and they really start journaling out or talking out the reasons, all of their uncertain pain comes up. So they'll give me reasons like, oh my gosh, well then I'd have to be able to manage $10 million and I don't know that I can manage it. And if I get it, then I'd have to keep it. And it's so much worse to lose $10 million than it is to never make it in the first place. And oh, then everyone would know I have $10 million. So I'd have to deal with people wanting to borrow money, and then I'd be famous and I'd have to deal with people being in my business all the time and knowing everything that's going on with me. Or maybe, oh, there's so much responsibility in that and I'd have to hire a bigger team and I don't know that I could really lead that big of a team. And oh, I'd have so many clients and I would have to work more hours and I don't want to work more hours, right? You can see all of the places that their brain is like uncertain pain, uncertain pain, uncertain potential pain. And we haven't spent a lot of time also looking at the potential pleasure that could come from them making $10 million. Okay, well, if I made $10 million, there's a lot of things that I could do that would help me handle all of that uncertain pain, or would make that pain feel a lot better because it would be easy. So we play this worst case scenario game where basically I have them list out all of the reasons they don't want the thing. And then I say, what's the worst thing out of all of that could happen? And maybe it's not even on your list. What's the worst thing? Maybe you were even too afraid, or that idea is hiding in your brain because it feels so scary. And a lot of times it'll come down to the loss of psychological safety, the loss of love, safety, and belonging, meaning that they're going to be accepted, they're going to be loved, they're not going to be abandoned or rejected or closed off or judged. And so when we look at that, right, when we look at all of the potential pain and we get down to the bottom of it, this is the question and they always know what's coming. If they've played this game with me before, I say, okay, could you handle that? How could you handle that? So let's go through each one of these. Is this true? Is this likely, first of all? Is it likely that you're going to get $10 million and lose it all? Or is it likely that maybe you have a dip or something? And can we plan for that? Like, how can we handle that so that that pain is mitigated or even avoided? And we go through each one of those and give their brain evidence of, oh, this pain, this uncertain pain that I'm afraid of actually isn't that likely. And even if it is, I can handle it. And when we get down to that worst case scenario one, which is like usually around your deepest core wounds, like where your trauma shows up the most from your past in your current life. Abandonment, rejection, judgment, shame, guilt, right? All the feelings that we don't want to feel, that make us feel psychologically unsafe. Or maybe there's actual like real pain, like maybe I'd get sick, maybe I'd have something physically happen to me. So maybe there's some physical safety concern. Again, could you handle that? Is that likely, and could you handle that? And as far as the psychological safety, one of the things people tell me is they're afraid that they're going to lose people who they love. They're going to lose the love and the safety and belonging that other people have been giving them. And this is one of those harsh, loving statements that I like to say. It's a duality. Like it's a harsh thing to say, and also it's a true thing and a compassionate thing to say. If you lose someone's love, safety, and or belonging by being more yourself, by going after one of your desires, by stepping more into your power and your aligned purpose on the planet, you didn't have unconditional love, safety, and belonging from them in the first place. That wasn't the reality. That's just what you thought you had. And so I would so much rather know that this person, okay, there's not psychological safety here around this thing, than to think that I had psychological safety with someone that I really don't. So while that seems like it would be super painful, it's actually pleasurable too, because you now know where you stand with this person. If people only love you or accept you or stay with you when you show up the way they want you to, they're not in love, or they don't love you. They love the version of you they've created in their head. So you can handle that. We can handle that. So when I say choose your pain, right? What I mean by that is really look at the uncertain pain that your brain and the subconscious part of your nervous system, the habitual part of your nervous system, the part of your nervous system that's stored all of the past painful experiences that you've had and created beliefs and habits around that. Let's look at the pain that it's afraid of, and let's figure out, is that likely and could we handle it? And then let's flip it and look at what else could happen here. What is the potential pleasure? Right? How can I get certainty around the pleasure that going after this goal or making this change can bring me? So I just wanted to share that with you today. This whole idea of choosing your pain is something that is a fundamental tenet of what we teach in the Trauma-Informed Psychological Safety Certificate Program. And like I said at the beginning, we really want people to understand that the avoidance of pain and the chasing of pleasure, when you get that those are the two core motivators for humans, and then we understand trauma on top of that, one of the biggest things that people say once they've gone through our program is that they understand themselves and they understand humanity so much better. And they can have so much more compassion for other people because they get why they're doing what they're doing. And I have to say that as somebody who has become really well-versed in trauma and nervous systems and psychology and, understanding human behavior, why we do what we do and how our body brings that behavior forward. I think that this is probably the most powerful thing to know. Because if you know why you're doing what you're doing and you understand what's happening inside of you, if you know why the person across from you is doing what they're doing and what's happening inside of them, we can influence that. And we can influence it in a way that creates more safety, more connection, and really helps us fully express ourselves as the true humans that we are. So if I've piqued your interest around this empowerment experience, we're actually leaving the Facebook group open through January 17th. So I will pop the link below so that you can join us there. If you are like, oh my gosh, this trip certification sounds really cool, I'd like to check it out, I'll drop that link below in the show notes as well. And if you are interested in the TRIPS certificate and you're also not sure if it's the right fit for you, our contact information will be in the show notes as well. Send us a DM, send us an email. Happy to chat through it with you because we want to make sure that you feel empowered and that we can help you work through any uncertain pain or kind of identify the pleasure that can come from you doing this work with us. So, hope you all have a fabulous rest of your week, and we will catch you next episode. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. Invitation to head to our show notes to check out the offers and connections we mentioned, or you can just head straight over to institutefortrauma.com and hop in our email list so that you never miss any of the cool things that we're doing over at the Institute. Invitation to be well and to take care of yourself this week, and we'll see you next time.